Okay, let's get straight to it. These are terms you're going to see on that state exam. I'm excited about this one. One term you're going to see, no ifs, ands, or buts, is going to be the difference between personal property and real property. Ready? Here it goes. Real property. Real property is the land, the improvements on the land, and anything attached to the land. Key word, ready? Here it is. Key word when it comes to real property. It is immovable. Immovable, which means you can't move it. You got it? It's staying put. That's real property. An example of immovable, the kitchen sink. You can't move it, it's there. It's there to wash your hands, to wash the dishes. To be used, it's attached to the counter. It's immovable, you can't move it. So let's go straight to personal property. So what is personal property? Personal property is movable, such as a couch, a TV, a car, a lawnmower. These things are personal property and do not stay with the land, do not stay with the property. That's the major difference. One quick tidbit. When you see the word chattel, chattel, they're referring to personal property. So, difference here is this. Anything attached to the property, strongly attached to the property, makes it real property, such as a fixture. Speaking of fixtures, a fixture is something attached to the property, something that's attached to the property. Whether it's screwed into the property, nailed to the property, glued to the property, whatever you want it, it's attached to the property. A fixture typically would be a chandelier. How about a lamp attached to a wall? Anything attached. The most basic example is a chandelier. Attached to the wall makes it real property. Now, the minute you detach it from the wall or from the ceiling and put it on the table, it becomes personal property. But in general, when it comes to the state exam and they're discussing or they're asking you a question on fixtures, I want you to think of a chandelier. And that chandelier, because it is attached, ready? Keyword, attached. Because it is attached, it is considered what? Yeah, real property. Another term I want you to know when it comes to the state exam, nice and simple, is going to be the bundle of rights. What a great term, the bundle of rights. Now, the bundle of rights, what is that? It's the rights you have as a homeowner. The bundle of rights. For example, you have the right to use it. You have the right to possess it. You have the right to transfer it. You have the right to encumber it. You have the right to enjoy it. It's what we call UPT. The bundle of rights is what we call UPT. I love to use that acronym UPT. The right to use it. The right to P, possess it. The right to T, transfer it. Now, what do we mean by transfer? Transfer such as will it, give it away, sell it. So you have the right to transfer it. You have the right to encumber it. And you have the right to enjoy it. UPT. The bundle of rights, I guarantee it, you're gonna see that on your state exam. Now let's talk about this term, eminent domain. I'm sure you've heard of that before, eminent domain. Now eminent domain by definition is taking private land for public use. It's more important to you to have this land for the public than it is to have an individual. But here's the kicker. Uncle Sam, the government, comes to a homeowner's property and says, hello, Mr. Homeowner, we need to condemn your property. We need to condemn a condemnation because we have to build a freeway right through your property for the benefit of the public. Public use is much more important, Mr. Homeowner, than you owning this property. However, what we're gonna do is we're going to pay you fair compensation. It's what we call just compensation. J-U-S-T, just fair compensation. So you're not gonna just give us the land, we're gonna buy it off you. In a sense, it's a forced sale, isn't it? It's a forced sale by the government saying, you gotta sell us this land per eminent domain because the public needs it. We're gonna have to build a nice road for the public to use to get from A to B. Now let's talk about easements. What a great term, easements. Easements. Now an easement is an encumbrance. Whenever you hear the word encumbrance, it's baggage. You're carrying baggage with this property. You own the property, you have an encumbrance, you're gonna carry this with the property, such as an easement. An easement is an encumbrance. An easement is a roadway or a thoroughfare or a pathway or a driveway that someone is allowed to use that's not their land. Let me give you an example. You have a house sitting in the front. We'll call that house A. And you have a house sitting in the back in its own lot, house B. And the only way the gentleman who owns the house in the back, house B, to get to his property will be to drive through the land of the owner of home A, land A. An easement has to be created so that he can travel through into his property on lot B. Now, the trick here is this. When you see the word easement, I want you to think of a couple of other factors involved here. A couple of other terms you'll see attached to this easement term. Ready? I want you to think of dominant tenement, and I want you to think of servient tenement. Now, when it comes to the servient tenement is the gentleman living in the front. the one that provides the easement, right? He's got to serve it up, whether he likes it or not. By law, he's got to serve it up. It's part of his deed. On the deed, it says that his land has an easement, and he has to allow the guy in the back to travel through his property to get to his property in the back. You with me? Nice and simple. This gentleman is called a servient tenement. He's got to serve it up. That's how I want you to remember this. He's got to serve it up. Now, the gentleman using the easement to get to his property in the back, he's going to pound his chest and say, I am dominant. You can't stop me. I have the right to utilize this easement. We're going to call him the dominant tenement. He's dominant. He's allowed to use it. The guy serving it up, we're going to call him the servient tenement. Nice and simple. Now, when you're going into the land, when you're going into this easement, it's going to be called ingress. Ingress, I-N. You're going in, ingress. When you're exiting, leaving the premises, exiting, exit, it's called egress. Now, that was a group of terms you'll need to know, but it all starts off with easement. Hey, now let's talk numbers when it comes to the state exam. This number I definitely want you to know, the magic number. The magic number when it comes to acreage. I want you to know how much an acre is. This is going to be a nice, easy one. This is one you have to memorize. And you're definitely going to see this on your state exam. When it comes to acreage, here it comes. 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. Boom, done. Bada bing, bada what? Yeah, boom. 43,560 square feet is 1 acre. All right, next one is realtor. That term, realtor, R-E-A-L-T-O-R, realtor. I want you to know realtor. Now, what's the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent? It's a big difference. And you're going to see that realtor term on your exam. I promise you will. And a realtor is rather simple to understand. Really, a realtor is a member of the National Association of Realtors, which means they have to follow a code of ethics. Got it? That's the important kicker right there. When it comes to a realtor, ready? They're associated with the National Association of Realtors. They're a member of that program, of that group, which means they have to abide by a code of ethics. Now let's go to another term. How about steering? I'm sure you've heard of that term, steering. I want you to know what steering is all about. Steering is you as a realtor doing something that's so discriminatory that it's against the law. Such as what? Yeah, steering. And steering means you getting a buyer who, because of their race, color, or creed, or religion, you believe they belong in a particular neighborhood. So you show them houses only in this particular neighborhood with their type of population. Are you kidding me? That's horrible. That's discrimination. And that's what steering is you having a buyer and thinking, you know what? I don't think they're going to fit in this particular side of town. I think they'll fit better in this side of town. And you don't give them the option to see all houses in all parts of town. You're steering these people to a particular area. That's horrible. Look at me in the face. That's horrible. It's a serious offense. Don't get involved. Steering, don't do it. Another term, commingling. How about commingling? What do you think that definition is of commingling? Obviously, the definition is putting things together, huh? Putting things in the same pot. Let's commingle this. Well, you know what? In real estate, we don't like that. Particularly when it comes to finances, when it comes to funds. Let me give you an example. You have a buyer. You show property, they love the property. Yay, we found our property. They give you a deposit, they give you money. And you have to do something with that money. You just can't put it in your pocket. So commingling is you taking that deposit and putting it into your bank account, your own bank account, with your own personal money. You're putting it you can't do that. It must be kept separately. Put it in a trust fund, a broker's trust fund, or put it in escrow ASAP. Do not commingle when it comes to real estate. That's not a good idea. Now, another one I want you to know. How about escrow, huh? You've heard of it before. The big, bold escrow. Escrow, what is escrow? Ready? Here it comes. I'm going to give you my definition. Escrow, a neutral third party that protects the integrity of the transaction. A neutral third party that protects the integrity of the transaction. That's escrow's job. They're neutral. They don't fight for the buyer. They don't fight for the seller. They fight for what? Yeah, the transaction. That legal and binding contract, their job is to keep it intact. Make sure that every single stipulation is what? Yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah, met. And that's their job, escrow's job. They work for everybody involved. But in particularly, their focus is that contract, that legal and binding contract. They also receive funds. They receive documents. They make sure everything is in perfect order. They make sure everything is on the up and up. They want to make sure all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. Keep that in mind.